welcome to another episode of Chris and Jen in the Morning.
Where it's always morning somewhere.
I'm Chris.
And I'm Jen. We are so excited to have you with us today. Thanks for joining in. One of the things that we've started doing is sharing a gratitude moment at the beginning of our show. And today I wanted to share a bit of gratitude. I've been thinking so much about how grateful I am for my amazing husband, who happens to be our producer, Ace. And he is not only my husband and life partner and the producer of this podcast and the many other titles that he wears, but he is also my in-home tech support, which I would not be able to operate without. So I am just incredibly grateful to be so lucky to have some help. One of the things that he recently did for Valentine's Day is give me a computer, which was so funny because I literally was sitting on the couch with the tablet and the phone and our old MacBook, which is like super, super old and has too much stuff on it and can really only operate my Cricket at this point. Wow. And I was saying to him, it was like the night before Valentine's Day, I was like, oh my gosh, he's been saying forever, we need a new computer. And I've been saying, no, we bought that computer and it should last us until we die. Like, why would you need to replace it? We bought a computer. We spent a lot of money on it. We should just keep it forever. And that apparently is not how technology works, which I know, but I still don't want to accept.
Yeah.
And
so knowing and accepting are two very different things.
I'm like trying to get our socials set up and do stuff for the show. And I'm getting frustrated because nothing is working right. And it's all moving way too slow. And I said to him, maybe we should get a computer. And he just kind of passively is like, oh, maybe we should. Yeah, maybe.
Meanwhile, he'd already ordered it and it was on its way.
The next day, a new computer is what I got for Valentine's Day that he worked with his guy to build, which is great. And then not only do I have the computer, but I'm like, okay, now this is way different and there's a lot of things attached to it and I have no idea how to set it up. So I get the computer and the microphone and the lights and all the things that you need to apparently, actually show up on the podcast.
Show up, look good, sound good. It takes a lot.
It does take a lot. It does. So not only does he help me turn it all on and get it where it should be every time, but it just required a lot of what do you plug into where? How do you make it all work? What about the monitors? It's so much simpler when it's just from your phone.
Yeah.
But you can do so much less when it's just from your phone. So
right.
I am super grateful to have somebody to help me through all of those tech solutions and situations, because then I don't have to sit there and spend hours Googling it to figure it out myself.
Look, he not only is a great on-site for you, but even in the virtual world for us.
Yes.
We could not do this without him.
We literally could not. So just super grateful. Thanks to our producer, the man, the myth, the legend, the Ace.
The Ace.
We are forever grateful to you. So speaking of tech support, Chris, I think you have a tech story recently that came up that you might want to share.
Yeah. More like my own struggles with technology, but
I'm glad I'm not alone. Yeah. We're in this together.
So I was in the office and it was like a little bit before 5 and I got a personal call that I had to take and ended up being in the office much later than I was expecting to be. And so as I'm getting ready to leave, I get the notification on my phone that it's at 7%. And I commute listening to either music or podcasts.
Did you start to feel like you were going to suffocate?
Yes.
I can't breathe anymore.
7%.
What's going to happen?
How am I supposed? And then it's super cold outside. And usually whenever it's cold outside, the phones are even more, if you don't keep them in your pocket or whatever, they'll sometimes just shut off by themselves. Had to learn that the hard way living when I moved here. But then, so I'm like, oh, let me go to my bag. And then I realize I've changed bags and I don't have any of my charging cables with me.
Mm.
And then I'm like, well, I'm in an office where there's lots of other people who also come in. Surely there is like a rogue
Somebody's got a
phone
phone
cord
cable.
somewhere.
Mm-hmm.
And to be clear, like we have, they're nice tabletops, but they're like, it's all open seating. So it's not like I'm pilfering through people's things. Like I just started walking the floor.
You just open up people's offices, dishing through their doors.
Did not do that. Did not do that. I'm respectful of my colleagues. And so I start like looking for this cable, and all I can think to myself is, aren't we supposed to be wireless? Like, isn't this whole thing that has recently been everyone like a wireless keyboard, a wireless mouse, wireless or Bluetooth headsets, like all of this wireless stuff, and yet I need to charge my phone and I cannot find anything that will charge my phone.
Do you not charge your phone wirelessly?
I do, but the only place that I have it is next to my bed, which to charge it wirelessly, you still have to have a wire plugged in to the wall.
Well, I mean that unless you're using a battery, which then if you are, you have to charge the battery with a wire to the wall. So I see your point. I see your point.
So that's like where I spiraled. Like I did end up like finding one. Luckily, like I was frustrated, and so I was like, let me just set everything down. I need to run to the bathroom because I've been like hiding in a room trying to deal with this family stuff. I go to, as I'm walking over to the bathroom, I see like just a random white cable. And I'm like, oh my gosh, could that be a phone charger? Sure enough, it was. But it was like, we have these little lamps on top of the tables with the USB things. So they're not great for their
charging.
Like, exactly. Yeah. But look, I found it. I plugged in my phone. I ran to the restroom, packed up my stuff, put on my coat, like in the slowest possible ways so that my phone could charge.
You couldn't just do all of that at normal pace and then sit down and wait for your phone to charge. You were like, well, then I can't be sitting here waiting, so I have to just slow down everything else.
Exactly. Because once you put on your coat and your scarf and your hat, like now I'm sitting inside and I'm sweating, I'm hot, I'm uncomfortable.
And you definitely can't take it back off. That's like, there's a rule about that. Once you put the coat on.
I'm not hunkering down. So then I'm like, all right, I can't stay anymore. I'm hungry. I'm ready to eat. So I grab my stuff and go grab my phone, and it's only charged like, I don't even think it was at 20% yet. I was just like, fine, whatever. We'll do what we can. And then I put on my wireless headphones and start walking to the elevators, and I start down that whole wireless spiral again. Have we really gone wireless, people? Are we really a wireless society?
I see your wired headphone choice here.
Yeah.
Today. So as I am surrounded in wires as well. It's so interesting. And like, don't you have batteries everywhere that just magnet onto your phone and charge your phone?
I don't have any like that. I have the like plug-in one. I have multiple of those.
I don't like the plug-in one because it's, even if it doesn't have like a wire, if it has a little port to plug in directly, I always feel like I'm going to break it. But I love the one that just snaps into the back of my phone.
Yeah, I've seen those. I haven't had any because I pride myself on being the type of person that I have this stuff with me. But my dilemma that day was that I had switched bags. I moved from my usual like duffel bag, which I absolutely love and adore, has long handles. It's a whole thing. I could do a whole podcast on like trying to find a replacement bag.
I know. I mean, I failed at that. I attempted to find you a replacement bag and it did not work out.
Look, I'm very particular when it comes to the handles. And so I finally find one. It's not as big. It's not like, there are things that I like about it. There are things I don't like about it, but it's smaller. It is a smaller bag. And so that morning as I'm like throwing everything in so I can get out the door, because why would I prep and do all of that before I went to bed the night before? So I'm putting stuff in my bag, but I don't even think about like grabbing the extra cable and the battery pack that I usually carry with me in my other bag. And then life happened.
Did your phone make it home?
It did. It made it home, but I immediately had to plug it in, which luckily we have by our couches the cables that you and Ace gifted us, the super long ones. Because we used to just have the regular size cable. So like you could plug it in, but you really couldn't do much with it.
He probably was over and like, you know what they really need? They need long. This has to be annoying for them.
You know what they need? They need more wires in their life.
Well, because apparently you don't have any of those magnet onto the back of your phone chargers. Anchor makes a really great one that I actually have one. Andy's has one, but I don't know where mine is. I just have his all the time. Like I have them both all the time. But he's constantly producing something out of his pocket for me, for my phone, if it's not charged. So speaking of cables and have we really gone wireless, if you have an electric car, you got to plug that in too. It's like
which I think that requires a whole like you have to have someone like out and they have to like put something in your garage and
it's like a whole thing.
Yeah.
My car actually has a wireless charging pad for the phone. So you put the phone down, it's got like the Apple CarPlay thing, right? And then you put the phone down in there and it will just wirelessly charge your phone, except for my car is not brand new. And I don't know why, but when they keep engineering these things, they are unable to conceive of the size of our phones in the future at the time that they engineer the car. So the spot that the phone is supposed to go to charge is not big enough for my phone. So it cannot wirelessly connect to the Apple CarPlay or to the, like it'll Bluetooth, but that doesn't do the Apple CarPlay. And it like can't wirelessly charge because it doesn't fit in the little cubby hole.
I mean, don't you think we've kind of like kind of gone around with phone sizes? Because when you think about the first cell phones, they were
enormous, like bulky. Yeah.
Right. And then going down to what I think the Razor was potentially like the smallest phone. They were bulky,
but they didn't have like screens. And then you had like the Nokia brick, which was, you know, like fatter, I guess. But it had a little tiny screen, you know. And
that's why it had Snake on it, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I loved my little Nokia phone. Great.
And you could drop that thing 100 times.
It wouldn't break. You know why they stopped making it? Because they knew that they needed people to keep buying new phones, and no one was ever going to have to buy a new phone.
Right.
Because that thing...
They made it too well.
I don't know. Whoever those people are that need burner phones in life, like that's the burner phone to get, I think. If there was like a hall of fame for phones, like that phone would be in it. But you could buy those little like plastic covers.
Yep, covers.
So I got like a...
They may break and like come off, but the phone itself would be perfect.
I had like a bright yellow one, the color of the Mustang I wanted.
Say
yeah.
what?
Yellow too. That's an odd choice for me, but I did. Yeah, got it at a mall kiosk.
Oh my gosh, I remember those.
Probably the only thing I've ever bought at a mall kiosk was my cover for my Nokia brick phone.
That's right.
It's crazy. But anyways, yeah, so in my car, there's always a cable like hanging around. But then other people, when they get in my car, they're always like, oh, can I plug in? And so if I'm driving somebody like for work or something and we're going from the office to like a dinner place, and then I'm trying to use my Google Maps, but I can't because they've plugged into my car. And that's how I get to my Apple CarPlay. And then I'm like, okay. You know, time and space being a mystery to me, I definitely need the Apple Maps or the Google Maps in order to get where I'm going.
Yeah. Look, things are constantly changing in the Metroplex with construction and road closures, and so yeah, you can live there, but you still need those maps to get around.
I have been at my current company 3 years, and just 3 years. I just celebrated 3 years last week, and I just finally like know the name of the road that I exit. Like I could have driven there, you know, I don't use the map when I drive to work. Although sometimes I will say I like have missed an exit because it is all very confusing. And then all of a sudden I'm in the middle of somewhere I don't know where I am. Or sometimes I'm like, like if I'm listening to a podcast or whatever, and I'm just kind of like driving, but I'm, listening and trying to do both of those things at the same time, I'll like look up and I'll go, I don't know where I am. Like, I don't even know where I'm at. Is this what it's like to have Alzheimer's? Like, I have no idea where I am.
How did I get here?
Am I on the right road? Have I taken a detour? Like, where am I?
So we're really not as wireless in the car, even though we're trying. Like they're trying.
We're not as wireless in the car. The other thing is, we have not upgraded our phones yet. We're iPhone people, and we have not upgraded our iPhones yet because the next upgrade, you have to actually switch over cables to a different kind of cable.
Of course.
Which I think actually was like a European government mandate or something for them to not be able to have their own proprietary plug-in. So they can't, it's just not cost effective to manufacture phones for Europe and phones for the US differently. Yeah. So they switched everybody over. And it's, I could be wrong. Our producer would know the answer to this. I think it switches over to like the same kind of thing that charges like my Nintendo Switch or whatever, like that charges your battery that you have to charge your phone. I think it's that same kind of plug, but we don't have long cords, a bunch of long cords for that. They're all like short cords. So we have to switch out all of our cables in order to switch our phones. Yeah. So we're like, we don't want to switch our phones yet because we don't want to switch all our cables because we are not yet cordless.
Exactly. And producer did weigh in. It is a USB-C cord.
USB-C.
Well, I guess it's a not a cord, but a connector. But I do want to hear about. I know that you have AirPods. I have stuck to my wired headphones for as long as I can remember. I just recently switched to some wireless over-the-ear options because I have seen too many people like their wireless ear thing drop into the subway it goes, like the tracks.
Gosh.
So I don't want to be that person.
That would be like, I think that's a new fear unlocked.
Yeah, so that's why I've always stuck with my connected, and whenever I did get the wireless ones, like my wireless ones kept like disconnecting from my phone, so I was just irritated.
I can't actually think of a time that I've been in New York. I mean, I guess if I'm on the phone, I have an earbud in. The new fear unlocked, man. Now I'm going to be afraid of like losing an earbud down into the I don't know, somewhere, street, grate.
Right.
All kinds of things.
I say the subway, but even if my earbud fell on the ground,
I would not want it back.
To put that back in my ear.
It sounds like a lot of cleaning involved in that.
Exactly. It would need to be sanitized.
Order some new tips, a lot of alcohol wipes. I never thought about that. So I'm going to stop making fun of you for having corded headphones. I'm going to stop that. I had some with Skull Candy wired headphones that for the longest time were my favorite headphones, and they stopped making them, and like they switched their like product line, whatever, and just like with many things in life, I have been like, but that was my favorite one and I want that one. So Ace went and found that very same model and bought them off of eBay or something, because I would never get used ones. Gross, they've been in people's ears. But in the package new, although the quality changes over time and
yeah, it does.
Technical capability. And so sadly, those I had to come to terms with the fact that they were not going to be good
top
enough.
Of the line.
But I didn't like the Apple corded headphones and then the AirPods at the time, because they didn't have those soft tips. They had the hard tips. Yep. And they don't fit my ears correctly. They're not the right shape for my ears. So it just kind of hurt to wear them. But I am a huge fan of the AirPod Pros because those feel super comfortable when I wear them. But the annoying thing is that even though everything with Apple is supposed to just all sync up and connect magically so that you don't need your in-home help desk support, For some reason, constantly, I will take the earbud out of my case, put it in my ear, and it like does not connect to the phone. And it's always when I'm like on a work call and I'm trying to answer the phone. And then we have this awkward like, oh, can you hear me now? Can you hear me now? We're a Verizon commercial. Hello?
Yeah.
Hello? And luckily they're like, yeah, same thing happens to me too. So Apple, we would love it if you figured out what that bug is about, but it can't be user error if it's all of us. But I do love the AirPods. I do love those, the pros. Although now I'm going to have to go find myself a pair of wired headphones for travel. I have dropped a headphone or an earbud on the plane once.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Well, I always carry those little like
the sanitizer
lens
things.
cleaner alcohol wipes.
Yeah.
So it definitely got the rundown. You know how I feel about planes.
Yeah.
Dirty places. Yeah. It's just like with paperless, right? Like if everybody's like, oh, we've gone wireless. We're, like there's airdropping and there's, all these different things, wireless charging. But it's like when we went paperless and now like I feel like I'm surrounded by more paper. Maybe that's just me. Some people are probably better. Most people are probably better at throwing away things than I am.
I do think there are some people who have like really figured out like how to capture notes. Like when I am talking to someone, I don't like to take notes on my laptop. I prefer to be handwriting them, because I feel like I can better engage.
Well, there's actually something about drawing it out that I think helps commit it to memory.
Yeah, but I mean, there are people who can like who have found a way to digitally like capture everything. They don't have sticky notes. They don't have. I am currently surrounded by 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, at least 15 sticky notes just all around where I'm sitting currently.
That's hilarious. I mean, my office is constantly full of sticky notes. My security method is that I can't read them, nor can anyone else. So we don't know what anything says, but I did write it down.
Right.
And that helped me remember it.
And it has been forgotten.
So I need to institute like a monthly specific time that I go in and just like review and purge.
Review and purge. I agree. I think I think whenever people commit to something like, oh, we're going to go paperless, but then like the practical application of what that looks like, feels like is very different to every individual. And so same with like the wireless stuff. Like I appreciate a wireless keyboard and mouse. But yet I still have cables for monitors and charging cables. Like
why don't monitors connect wirelessly? Is that a thing? Is that a thing that other people are doing that I just don't? I mean, I can like throw something from my phone to the TV. Why do I have to have a cable that connects to my monitors?
I don't know.
Well, here's the question. Do you think we're going to go paperless before we go wireless?
No, because I think people probably think that we've already paperless. So I'm not trying to solve that problem anymore.
You have not been to my house. Also, like this is where I feel like packaging could really make better use of the QR code. Like, I don't need the 75 pieces of paper that you send with every item that I unbox. Can we just get a QR code?
But there's also a lot of, I've seen a lot of news reports of like people doing the QR codes, and it like somehow like takes you to a site that then like puts something on your device, like a tracking thing or whatever. And
I mean, if it's like inside the item, that's just like giving you a website. Fine, don't give me a short URL and I'll type that in. Like, I just, as a person who struggles with should I keep something or should I throw it away, every time I buy something and I open it up and it has 75,000 pieces of paper, I have to make choices about whether or not I'm going to keep that or throw it away. I'm never going to read the instruction book.
I'm in the camp of throw it away because you can find just about everything online. That is not the Frank does not subscribe to the same feelings about
like
those things.
Physically painful. Should I really throw this instruction booklet away? Also, like, somebody cut down a tree to make this. Feels wasteful. But then I just hang on to it and it is just as wasteful. So
Right. It's taking up a corner of a drawer or a cabinet somewhere.
it's probably a great therapy topic.
Yes.
Yeah. So we want to know what you think. Do you think that we will get to paperless or wireless first? Which will we achieve first? Because I'd say I think we're probably actually in a similar place on both.
Well, I will say I'm proud of us. I feel like we do a lot as we've like gotten off the ground of getting this podcast started. Like we've really embraced technology and the different ways that we can gather information, keep ideas.
Well, we kind of have to because we are, how many miles apart? I don't know.
Right. Could I fax you something if I needed to? No, I don't have fax.
I remember coming out of college. My first post-college job, they taught me how to use the fax machine. And I just was going, but why do you fax anything? Like you could just scan it. Every copier has a scanner. Why would you even use a fax machine? Use email stuff now. And I think I maybe used that fax machine twice. I was also confused about it, like why we would have it or use it. But, that used to be a skill you would put on your resume.
Sure was. Because did you ever go, I mean, you apparently didn't use faxes very much. I very much so did in the beginning of my career. And like each fax machine, you treated differently because none of them work the way that it's not like you just walk up, you dial the number and you press start. No, that would be too easy, even though that's exactly how they would tell you it would work.
No, for some reason, there's like a whole process. So
yeah. I need to take 3 deep breaths. This topic of fax machines is stressing me out.
Take your 3 deep breaths. Take them about your cords. I was thinking that when you were telling the story about your phone being 7%. Speaking of cords and phones and cables and phones, texting is the way that we communicate with each other as opposed to writing letters to each other. Can you imagine if texting like started with a corded situation, like how that would have gone out? It would have gone over very well. But apparently there are different styles of texting, which I had not even considered until I was perusing our topics list that we keep. And I saw that you had put on the list, what kind of texter are you? And had I not known you so well, I would have gone totally spiraling with the thought of, oh my gosh, is Chris trying to tell me something about the way that I text? Is that why this is on the list? Because he's annoyed with the way that I text? Like I didn't even think about there being different kinds of texting. But I think you and I probably have a similar texting style.
Oh, I think you and I have the exact same texting style because you can scroll through our text messages and
and read it.
About the same.
It's like, it's the same way that I talk. It's just sort of thinking as I'm typing, just like I think as I speak. And then I'm just sending, each line successively. So if I'm sending you something, I'm typically not going to send you a whole paragraph all at once. Right. I send you a line and I'll hit send and I'm like, oh, add to that, add to that, add to that. Then also all of my autocorrects, sometimes I'll just ignore them, but sometimes I'll try and correct them. So that
sometimes it autocorrects to the wrong thing.
Because it does. Yeah. It does that to me a lot.
The thing that made me think about this topic is I have a colleague who, because I think of like texting and instant messaging kind of as the same thing. I very much so instant message the same way that I text. And one of my colleagues, she and I have worked together for many years now. I respect her, love working with her, but she has like one of like a message, just one of those like always active messages within our messaging app that says, please put everything that you're reaching out to like in one message so that I can like, because she gets a lot. Like, she's like a point of contact within our company.
That would stress me out. I would have to take a lot of deep breaths.
Right, because I'm the type of person, like, I'll go to them. Like, if I were gonna send you an instant message one morning, I would like find you, and then I would, hey, good morning, hope you had a nice night. Like, these would be, you would have at least received 3 different messages at this point. It would be
like, if you want that from me, you better give me a template and I will fill it out and send it to you. But don't tell me, please put everything you want in one message, because all it's going to do is stress me out, and I'm probably going to send you more messages.
Yeah, but
not
in all fairness, the other side, right? But on the other side, it stresses her out to get all those messages and then have to scroll through and find, what were you actually asking from me?
So maybe just give me a template, because clearly it's more important to you than it is to me.
But so then I start thinking, like, the way that I text, I also text the same way. Like,
that's hilarious.
Hey, happy Friday, or hey, how's your day going? It's very much so short messages, but there will be several of them. And I also write LOL a lot in my messages, but that's because I'm really laughing. Not like, I don't just throw it in there as a random period or comma. I laugh a lot.
LOL is like something that we used to say a lot, especially like 25 years ago when the internet was new and you had AOL Instant Messenger. And then, somewhere, I don't know, in the last like 5 to 7 years, I feel like LOL has kind of been replaced by laughy face emoji.
No, not by me.
I just use the tilted head laughy face emoji.
That's your go-to. My favorite is because I put LOL a lot in things whenever I really am laughing out loud. I sent you a message the other day. I was on the bus and
you're like actually laughing out loud.
I am actually laughing out loud.
I just expect that anytime you say LOL, you are really laughing out loud.
Well, I think I'm funny. So as I'm going through my day and I put something that I think is witty or whatever, because I'm laughing to myself, I'll put LOL. But then there are times whenever people, are you really laughing out loud? And it's like, I do. But then I'm truly laughing out loud. People are looking at me because they can't hear what's going on in these headphones, but I'm laughing out loud on the bus.
Do you remember like way back when our phones weren't like, just a screen all the time, and we were texting like using the letters on the keypad? And so texting was more challenging. So you tended to say less because it wasn't just like typing. And unless you were one of those highly skilled people that was just really fast at,
my brother was that. He could do it all one-handed and very, very quickly.
Yeah. And so we made up acronyms for literally everything.
Yeah.
And I remember one of my friends and I, we would talk about how he would snaffle when you laugh and you snort at the same time, like you're snaffling. And so we had one that was laughing so hard I'm snorting or something, but it was the acronym of that. We just got crazy with our little shorthand acronyms. And now I feel like there's less of what are the young people, shortening things to? What are their acronyms? It's more like what do the emojis mean?
Right. They have a plethora of emojis to choose from. We didn't have that. You had the keypad and what you could get creative with on that keypad.
Oh, yep. That's all you had.
So, yeah, one of my grandparents really, truly embraced technology, and he would, when it came to texting, he would shorten things, but not the things that are commonly. So you would get a message from him that has the first letter of words, and you have to decode it for a while. Yeah. You have to sit there and really look at it. So then sometimes you just couldn't get it, and so you would
just
call
give me the first word and I'll figure it out. Give me the first word.
Yeah, but so whenever we figured that out, like we are like, hey, is this like what is he really trying to say?
Okay, well, don't you know? Isn't this how young people speak? Yeah. Well, I'm not one of the young people anymore because I was Googling actually this last week. I pulled up Google while I was on a meeting. What are the phrases that young people say these days? And then I was, Jen, don't read the page, because if you read the answer to this question, first of all, you're probably going to sound stupid if you use any of these. And second, reading it acknowledges that you are old now. So
you are not in the know.
I used to say, how is it that we'll know that we're adults? When will we know? When will we feel like an adult? Definitely when you have to Google what is it that the young people say.
Yeah.
That's, you feel not like a young people anymore.
You have a son, so
Yeah,
I feel
I had one and I still have him.
Still have him.
Still
Didn't
there.
lose him.
Yep.
But as they're going through school, you hear things. And so I think you do have a rough pulse of what people are saying. But then when they graduate and they're no longer in it. So I have nephews that are not as old as what Alex is. And so they will say things and go, well, what does that mean?
Yeah, I'm constantly quizzing Alex. I do ask him as well. I don't know. Somehow asking him is better than Googling it. But I'm like, tell me what the young people say. And he was like, I mean, okay, but what is it that you want to know? He's like, I don't know. I don't know. I don't know.
It's also a very random request to get.
I don't know if he really doesn't know what I'm getting at or if he just doesn't want to tell me.
He's like, I don't want you to know what I'm.
I mean, no, more. I don't want you to say these things and embarrass me because you're going to sound dumb.
Oh my gosh. He's like, you'll need to educate yourself.
Please don't educate yourself. Don't worry about it. Young people don't say anything different than you. I remember the first time I saw SMH acronym, I was like, what does that mean? What did they just say? And it just means shaking my head.
Yeah, I had to ask a friend's sister what that meant. I didn't.
There was like a period of time where I assumed that every acronym was something, salacious or.
Oh yeah.
No, there's just.
Yeah, I had one of my best friend. Her sister used a lot of the shorthand, and so I remember one day we together. What does this mean? I know what LOL is. I know there were a few that were common. But I did not know the depth of the acronyms, and then she starts telling me them. I'm not committing that to memory.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I don't know. I love the way that your grandpa did it, though. Like, I'm gonna make up my own acronyms, and you just figure it out. If you want to know what I'm trying to say, it's on you, buddy.
He made his own way in the world. That's also my a different set of grandparents. My grandmother, she got an iPhone, and it was the hardest thing just to teach her. Grandma, you can touch anywhere, and if that's not where you want to go, you just hit this button and it takes you back to the home screen. She had such a hard time, really, but she really wanted to keep in touch with all of us.
There is no home button, so
right, no home button. But we never upgraded her to like this swipe
the newer
ones.
phone. Yeah. Well, Chris, you and I are on the path, so eventually we're going to be those people.
At least we're on the path together.
We're on the path together.
Yeah,
we are on the path together. You're right.
Because I think you and we were having this conversation, and I saw Alex walk behind you the other night, and I said the exact same thing. I was like, Alex, what do the young kids say now? You were like, oh my gosh, I just Googled that earlier today.
Oh my gosh, I've admitted it to you twice now.
Look, we cannot be the only ones that are asking this question.
I mean, I'm sure we're not. So it's just the fact that we're in that club. That's the reality check there. So well, we absolutely would know what you think. Have we really gone wireless? Will we go wireless or paperless first? And also, what kind of texter are you? What kind of texters are there? Is there another kind of texter?
Oh,
that
I
is
think
not
there are
just
people who
stream of
put it all
conscious?
in one text, and so you get that one large bubble, and you have to scroll. No,
we
no,
would
thank
love
you.
to know. We'd love to know. I also, one last thing about texting. I read something either last night or this morning, I can't remember, that said that Gen Z actually frequently gets offended if you use punctuation in your texts, because it seems like you're really trying to, they perceive it as, not they get offended by it, but they perceive it as negative connotation. Like you're implying something negative by being so formal or final. Now, this is like a really broad statement, and I kind of hate over generalizations. So if you are in the Gen Z club and that is not how you feel, by all means, I don't look at everyone and see them that way. But it was an interesting perspective, because I was like, really? putting using punctuation in a text message is going to cause somebody to be like, oh my gosh, what's she trying to say?
Should just say it with emojis.
I guess so. I don't know. Let us know. Tell us what you think. If you are in the Gen Z club and actually listening to this podcast, great. And also, is punctuation in text messages implying something negative when you read it, or something intense? Let us know, because I don't think I'm being intense unless I use a bunch of exclamation points all in a row. Or all
Even
caps.
then, I don't think it is. I'm like, I will let you know if I will be like, I am unhappy. Or, I will text that. I won't ask you to read between the lines or look into my punctuation marks.
Yeah, if you read something from me and you think I'm being snarky, but you're not sure, it's probably 50-50.
So just ask. That's my takeaway.
I'll tell you. If I was bold enough to be snarky, I'm probably more aggressive than I am passive aggressive. So, but I also am unintentionally aggressive.
You know what? Sometimes it happens, okay?
It does.
Sometimes it happens.
So we'd love to hear from you.
Yes.
Thanks for listening. We really love the fact that you're here joining in on the conversation with us. So thanks for listening in to Chris and Jen in the Morning, where it's always morning somewhere.
We'd love to hear from you. So please join in on that convo. You can do that by emailing us at chrisjeninthemorning@gmail.com. You can also call or text us at 940-278-8129.
And are you following us on social? Because if not, you can. You can follow and like our Facebook page, Chris and Jen in the Morning, and connect with us on Instagram at Chris and Jen ITM for in the morning, just in case you were wondering. And if you're listening to the podcast and feeling like you might be missing out on all of the facial expressions, ceramic squirrels, great editing that our producer pops in sometimes, check us out on the YouTube channel where you can listen and watch the show at Chris and Jen ITM. And don't forget to like and subscribe. Thanks for joining in. We hope you have an amazing week.
Talk to you later.